Welcome to Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here. Shall we begin?
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
What's happening? Hot stuff.
What a day, huh? What a beautiful day.
Tell me what's beautiful about it.
Well, so today, my magic for today, we had 2 closings. And so yes, absolutely.
That's a way to start the year.
Amazing. The amazing thing about the closings are that one of the closings was our accountant. And so out of the 500 to 600 real estate agents that he services, because he specializes in real estate agents, he called me and asked us to represent him in the sale of his house. So that closed today.
Amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Very humbled and grateful for that experience. So that was a super easy transaction. And then the other one that closed today was somebody that we've done a few transactions with, in fact. So she bought her first house with you years ago, 5-6 years ago.
About 5 years ago, yep.
And then just bought her next house because she just got married, and then sold this house, the house that you first.
3 transactions with her.
Well, just with her, right.
And never mind the referral business, because there's been at least 2. Mm-hmm. And because 3 or 4 other transactions, just because of our relationship with her and
the connection. So that was really beautiful. So I appreciated that. And
thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. And so beautiful day for closings. How about you? Why did you have such an extraordinary day today?
Monday is, we call Mondays meeting Mondays, and I love meeting Mondays because, we made a decision years ago to, instead of having a meeting here and a meeting there over the course of the week, to have all of our meetings in one day. Mm-hmm. And it's the day where we go over our finances, the state of the union with the company. Mm-hmm. You and I own on Mondays, which is always beautiful. And you can reference that in another podcast, Oming.
Orgasmic meditation.
Yes. And then because it's meeting Monday, we both have the bulk of our coaching clients on Mondays as well. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so I have a new coaching client. Whoop, whoop. Yep. And his name is Steve, referred to me by another coaching client. And I just, kudos to this guy for... he was unengaged with his real estate business, and really he did a couple of rentals last year, and that's it. And then got on with me, and he's just wide open and ready to receive the guidance in all areas of life. From workouts to running to his work life. He's active, he's engaged, he's open to receiving all the feedback. And lo and behold, we've been coaching for just a couple of weeks, and he's already got one under contract.
Nice. So you're saying?
Oh no, he's not under contract. He wrote the offer.
Oh, hey,
but
still,
he'll be under contract, today or tomorrow.
Yeah. So you're saying being open and surrendered to the feedback works? Is that what you're saying?
It's amazing. I know. Hard to believe. I know. Yep. Totally.
Awesome. Yay.
Yep. So
hashtag coachable.
Coachable for sure. So love that guy. Thank you, Steve. Mm-hmm. Woot woot. Awesome. So what are we talking about today, Nance?
Well, this could be a squishy subject. This is definitely one of those ones where we definitely went through it for sure. For a couple of years, and this one
squishy. So 2008, 2009, 2010. Yes. We learned a lesson in that period, huh?
Oh, for sure, absolutely, definitely.
So we're all talking about
the big B.
The big B. Bankruptcy?
Yes.
Bankruptcy. Yes.
Do we choose bankruptcy, or do we choose to short sale, or do we choose gosh, to foreclose on the property. Ooh.
Do we choose a chapter 7? Do we choose a chapter 11?
Or chapter 13.
Or chapter 13. Is it 13?
No. Well, there
Chapter
is a
13.
chapter 13.
What did we choose?
We did 11.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, it's been a minute. But but the emotions, when when we had decided to start talking about this, the emotions I'm more present to the emotions and some of the things that we went through and the healing we went through, more than the title of the bankruptcy. So, it was interesting though. We're definitely not younger, but we were younger, and we're definitely immature around our finances, and it's all around a time when the kids were being born, right?
Yeah. So Rex was born in 2006, and then Luke was born in 2007. So they're 17 and a half months apart. We did it intentionally. And, so we're talking about 2008, 2009, and 2010, those particular years. So let's set it up. Bills in real estate, 100%. I am not working per se. I was, we decided we had a nest egg, and I left work. And once we found out that we were pregnant in 2006 with Rex, we made the decision for me to stay home. I interviewed for a couple of director of operations positions for different restaurant groups and stuff like that. And I could have easily went back to work. Yet, we knew that for the health of me and the health of the baby, I wanted to experience what that was like. And we looked at our finances and thought we were in a great position to do that. So the market was booming, if y'all remember 2005, 2006, and 2007. So Rexy was born in 2006, and then we 9 months later we got pregnant with Luke, and then he was born at the end of 2007. 2008, you had another great year. I mean, that was really like your best year.
I mean, that was the crash in the market, 2008, and I had enough in the pipeline where we actually had, I don't know, it was probably pretty close to being a record year in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And then 2009.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it was like crickets.
It was like you slammed on the brakes of the school bus and you went through the windshield.
Right. Oh, it was awful.
Can anybody relate to 2009? Can I get it?
Or even part of 2008? Yeah, absolutely.
2008 for sure. I mean, it was pretty bad. It hit certain places, certainly before it hit us. I mean, we were in Atlanta. And
discovering our immaturity around our finances in that moment in 2009.
Yeah, we were not running our personal life, business life, or anything like a business. We were very emotional based. I mean, it was all about I want, because the faucet was on, and here we're thinking we're living high on the hog, and we got these amazing kids, and I don't know.
And we have a nest egg per se, but we haven't looked at our, we haven't really looked at our debt. I mean, we weren't really budgeting.
No, we weren't budgeting. We had no budget. I mean, I knew what we were bringing in and we were paying our bills, but really, like, truth be told, we had $125,000 in credit card debt.
Yep. Student loans.
Yeah. Student loans. Both of us, we still had student loans. No, we didn't own any cars. We owned car payments is what we owned.
Yeah, right.
We had
we thought we were living high on the hog with our cars too, our higher end cars and thought, we were super cool for sure.
Golly, that was probably close to $800, $900 in car payments plus insurance.
Which even back then that was probably expensive back then too.
Yeah, I mean oh gosh. Yeah. Living beyond our means. For sure. No savings.
So what happened?
No plan.
No plan.
No budget, and spending everything.
Yeah. So I think in 2009, I think we sold, I don't know, 3 or 4 houses.
Yeah, I don't know. I have
total?
To go back to look at
Not many. Not the 2 or 3 a month that
I never really wanted to go back and look at that.
Accustomed to.
Yeah. Now
or even 1 a month.
Now I'm curious what that was.
And
I mean, we sold some, but it certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
Oof,
And
like,
so, we sold only a few houses that year, and, we're months into it. And, at least I personally, I'm living in denial. Oh, it'll come around. Our people will come around. The economy will come around, or whatever it is,
mhm.
and our credit cards are going up, and our savings account is going down,
Yeah.
and it's getting a little scary.
Mm-hmm. It was very, very reaction based. We totally went into reaction mode.
To the point where we're running out of money, and we're totally like scarcity, and we're cutting this and we're cutting that, and we sold both cars. We
Yeah,
traded in both cars.
yeah. And we bought this little POS, which
Yeah.
we love, and it served us well. We're very grateful for the Mazda 626.
Yes.
But we bought it with cash, right? We paid off both of those loans, and then the proceeds, what little proceeds we had, we bought the Mazda.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So we got rid of that, and then we I mean, if anybody has gone through this, you know what the deal is. You start looking at all the coupon websites, and we cut cable. I called every single credit card company there was that we had, and started negotiating payments and percentages
and trying to flip cards from one to the next, so we wouldn't have a payment or all that kind of balance transfer stuff. Yeah. Yep. And then, there was that day, Nance.
Yes. We were
upstairs with the kids, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. It's going to make me cry. We were in the boys' bedroom, and we were playing, and they're little. They were little. They were like a year and 6 months or whatever. Yeah. And we were playing with them, and I happened to look out the window, and I see a Georgia Power truck, and it's about 4:00 in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden, like, I see him get out of the truck, and then he like walked up the lawn, and next thing you know, ka-chonk.
Nothing. Blackout.
There goes our electricity.
And it's not like I feel like
it was a couple days.
And it was cooler weather. It was not like, there's no convenient time to have your electricity turned off, but yeah, I just remember feeling like, it was either way, no matter when it's going to happen, I was going to feel helpless. So
it was definitely one of the worst. That was that peg day. A mentor of mine used to call days that you remember in perpetuity peg days. So that was definitely a peg day. That's actually one of those days that I reference back when I don't feel like prospecting. Yeah, I remember that day. Or if I don't feel like calling that coaching client, yeah, I remember that day. Or if I don't, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, do it anyway.
That comes around real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so we took care of that.
Yeah, we leveraged another credit card, I think,
else.
and and got our electricity turned on, and still deeply in denial, and still went and got a job.
Well, yeah, I remember that conversation where we were sitting back in the back of the house in the red chairs, and we had the conversation about who goes to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So was it me, or was it? So we both were in the restaurant industry prior to getting into real estate, and I wasn't even in real estate yet.
No, you were not in real estate.
2009.
Yeah, no, you weren't in real estate yet. No.
So it was, do I go back and get a job, or does Bill go and get a job? And we figured that it was the most amount of money, the quickest, for Bill to go get a bartending job, because let me tell you, Bill in the heyday was like the bartender.
You saying I'm not in my heyday anymore?
Well, baby? Not in bartending.
Oh, heard. Okay.
Gosh. So, yeah.
Yeah, so...
How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, well, no, I felt distraught. Honestly, I felt... How did I feel? I felt... my ego was bruised. More than bruised. I was... what's the word? Downtrodden. I was not having it, and I went back to a restaurant group that I had worked with for over 10 years, and they wouldn't hire me, actually. So because I had been in the business for so long and knew a lot of people, I shopped it around a little bit, and landed in a great place as far as bartending goes. Yeah, it was still,
he was our client.
Yeah, he was our client too. Yeah, by the way, he's still our client. He's still our client. Yeah. He's bought and sold houses with us, and he hired me on. I walked in there one day, and Lee was like, you need a job, you've got a job, and put me right into the position. There was no, working my way up or whatever. He knew what I needed and blessed our family. But at the end of the day, it was still too little too late. We didn't have any money, and it was shift to shift to, make, $100 or $200 we were making, and it wasn't enough. And so we had to have that conversation.
Yep. So I'm home raising the kids, and, I would periodically go to work for my stepfather, who's a general contractor. So whether it was landscaping projects that I did, or painting, or, the caulking or cleaning or any of that kind of stuff, that's what I was doing. I was doing like freelance work for him. I was also doing like some freelance restaurant stuff where I was writing operations manuals or safety strategies or any of that kind of stuff. And it was definitely very humbling, very humbling. And so at this point, we decided to go see an attorney and talk about our options.
That did not make me feel good.
No, it was scary. I mean, bankruptcy, bankruptcy. And well, first of all, let me just share with you that my father is a real estate attorney who, he was general law, right? So he practices in real estate, bankruptcy, wills, probate, and divorce. So to have that conversation about, our state of affairs, the authenticity around that, and the self-judgment and conversation. Oh my gosh. Right? I mean,
It was, yeah. And,
it was what? Sure.
It made me feel like a big loser. Yeah. Like I wasn't in control of my life. I wasn't taking care of my family. I wasn't taking care of me. I felt like I had a big L on my forehead walking around. And I felt like, I was special and unique, and I'm the only one who's ever gone through that too. So it was, I definitely didn't feel like a provider, and, and I felt like it was beneath me to go back into the restaurant business and, any judgment you could possibly have around it. I'm sure that, I was going through it. I know I was, and I was putting on weight, and, at this point we're not even eating crazy food. I mean, we're on chicken and rice, and I'm still carrying around the burden of my decisions and my choices, kind of, because I'm in denial about it.
Yeah. Well, the attachment was definitely
the attachment of it. Sure. Yeah, for sure. So, so sitting in front of an attorney was an interesting experience for sure. And and I don't know. She was. I'm not going to say that she was compassionate, but she wasn't. It was just that was her job, and that's what she did. And she did guide us through it, and did a great job of it. But when she said that there was relief in sight, and that day when the bankruptcy was actually filed, there was definitely some relief there for sure. But but still, we chose to go through this. I mean, and why do you think you chose to go through this, Nance? To have this experience? Well,
let me just start off by saying there was zero part of that being responsible for this conversation. There was no conversation around choosing to go through this. It was all like blaming this and blaming that and blaming the economy and blaming the bank.
Yeah. Who were you blaming? Yeah. Be specific.
Yeah. I just said blaming the bank, blaming the economy for what was going on, or, blaming me because I was out of work, or blaming you because you weren't working hard enough. I mean, you name it. It was definitely it was a tough time. I mean, it was fascinating. I remember that there was a moment, we used to keep all the blinds closed. So, because at this point we weren't paying the mortgage anymore. This is before we filed.
Right.
We weren't paying the mortgage, and you would be at the office because you did real estate during the day, and then you did the restaurant at night, whether it was managing or bartending or whatever. And so, you're working 15, 16-hour days. And I remember I used to keep the blinds closed so that in the event somebody came knocking on the door, they wouldn't be able to see inside because I was there with the kids. Or, you know, like I had a list of free places that I could take the boys to play. You know, it'd be like parks and playgrounds, and that was about it. Like, where could we go feed the ducks at Piedmont Park or something and buy stale bread? Or, I mean, it was just really interesting. So, it took a lot of work to get to that point where I fully accepted that we created that situation. And, I mean, that was years later. That was a lot of work.
Oh,
I know that we're going to talk about what it is that we, you know, the steps that we took to move through that and get to the other side, and, you know, that kind of stuff. But that took years.
Yeah. And so what I was really, you know, leading to was that for me, I'll speak for me. I know that there was choice in that experience, even though it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice in that experience, so that I could evolve my maturity around my finances and our finances and my relationship to money and the energy that's associated with it. You know, because you get in that scarcity mode and you just want to hang on, you know, to everything. You want to cut stuff and hang on to stuff. And, you know, I just kept digging a hole. And it was a hole that even if we were, let's say things that were a little bit different somehow, and we were still like, quote unquote, making money and being in our groove, or the economy hadn't changed, we still would have been there because we never had the lesson. That's the thing. I never would have had enough maturity to see that I needed to evolve unless we had that experience first.
Right. I agree with that. Absolutely. And that's my response too, is I believe that we created that experience to crack the code of whatever it was that we, habits that we grew up on, or things that we saw our parents do, or any of those types of things. I mean, you're a sponge in those early years, or bad habits that you get, not bad, but disempowering habits that you have around credit cards in college, or gosh, I mean, all that stuff. So we're just passing the torch along to those young, brilliant ones that we had. They're sitting at our feet. And I was very aware that you and I wanted to have a different experience and to create a different experience. And it needed to be a monumental shift in what was going on in order for us to create the change in the behavior. So we got out of the restaurant business, right? I mean, if it's environment.
Yep. And we had given ourselves the one option of paying cash for everything for years to come. Yeah. Actually.
We did.
With the bankruptcy, and choosing the 11,
yes.
We were able to keep the house.
Yes, we chose to keep the house. Yeah.
And the car, by the way.
Well, we
would have been rolled in. But
we owned the
car. Keep the house. And, but the consequence was that we didn't have any credit cards or any credit of any kind for years to come. Yep. So, we learned what it was to, and we'll get to this, but live out of the envelopes. So so
cash. Yeah. So we filed in 2009, Chapter 11. It was discharged in 2013. And then our first credit card, we actually didn't open our first credit card until 2018. And the whole purpose of that was to build business credit because of the launch of, we knew that we were planning to launch the other businesses just to establish some business credit.
And we still haven't actually we have the business credit, but we haven't actually used the business credit. So essentially we're still a cash business.
Yes, we are, much to our accountant's chagrin.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Our new accountant, because our other accountant
sold his house and moved. Yeah. That's fine.
All right, so
there were some A.R.T.forms that we used as we were maturing through these things. A.R.T.forms. Define A.R.T.forms for us, Nas.
Ooh. All right. So an A.R.T.form is an acronym. So action. What were the actions, relationships, or thoughts that we utilized to move through having a different experience? Or basically, how do you move from ineffective to effective, or effective to effortless? All right. And so these are some of the things that we go over in our individual accountability groups as well. So A.R.T.forms. So again, we're in 2010. So we filed in September of 2009, and now we're in 2010. So really, it was all about abundance, like changing that mindset, changing that behavior. What did we do? So it was financial affirmations. It was lots of meditations, lots of journaling.
So much journaling
about, different concepts. I mean, we did many personal development programs. I mean, that was one of our side hustles at that point, actually, was to sell a personal development product. And so we were students of our own product. I went to T. Harv Eckert's Millionaire Mindset here, which is a 3-day intensive, which is all around moving from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset.
And thank God you were gifted that because I believe you were gifted that. I don't think we could afford to pay for something like that, but I think your sister or somebody gifted you that. That 3-day deal.
And then that's when I learned about tax liens.
Right. Yep.
And then, so then that started the conversation around real estate. And ultimately I decided to get into real estate. And, again, we had the conversation. It's like, okay, well, what do we do? Because I knew that I love gardening. So it was landscape architect or go into real estate. And so I really jived with these tax liens. And then going through the bankruptcy, I learned a ton of information about short sales and how to negotiate short sales and do all of these things and really, make sure that the consumer was well taken care of. And so we decided for me to get into real estate. So I took my online course. It took me 6 months because I'm still
nursing,
with the boys, and you're in the restaurant and all that kind of stuff. And so I officially got my license in October of 2010. What was the other thing? Oh, we did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, the 7 baby steps.
Yep.
So that's
and we borrowed that from somebody.
Yeah, we borrowed the program from somebody. Yeah. And we immediately instituted that because, again, we're in a cash position. Wow. So we took the jar idea. So T. Harv talks about, an abundance money system, dividing your money in certain percentages based on, your lifestyle and that kind of stuff. And then he has jars. So we utilized the jar system because they're clear. And then we utilized Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace system and kind of combined the two. Mm-hmm. Because we really like the idea of watching the money grow. So we decorated the jars, and then we had the jars out on display for basically, all to see and the universe to see that we were being very mature and appropriate and worthy of our money. And so we literally want to watch it grow because what you focus on expands.
Right. And I'm bartending, and this is, in the day when, you still came home with your tips every night, cash. And so it made it really easy for us to divide the money up and to really watch it grow. And yeah, it was an amazing exercise for sure.
So we did it every night. Every night you came home, we sat there after you finished, and we would sort it out into all those, the 7 piles, and then boop, put it in the 7 jars. I mean, it was a tithing jar or a give jar, a play jar. I mean, it was extraordinary. I still have those jars. I moved them. Like when we moved, I moved them because they were so integral to our story.
Nice.
Yep. To the point where the kids have jars.
That's right. They have, and they decorated their own jars. They have the give, spend, and save jars. Yeah. And the boys they don't earn, we've talked about this in another podcast, I believe, but they don't necessarily just get an allowance. They earn a commission as well. Mm-hmm. And they have checklists and the things that they do during the week that have been assigned to them. If they check it off and they've done it, then they get paid for that job. If they didn't do it, they don't get paid. So, and then at the end of the day, they split everything up into the give, spend, and save jar.
Right.
And they get to watch it grow. And it's a habit that that's been going on for probably. I mean, they've been doing it since they were 6 or 7.
Oh, at least. Oh, it's sooner than that.
Yeah, no, maybe around that. And It's just automatic now. We never, when we always get a stack of ones to pay them their commission, and we don't have to say a word to them. They know the routine, they know what to do, and everything gets divided up into its percentage and gets put in the jars.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about it is that they're saving 20%.
Yep.
They're spending 20%, only 20%, and they're giving 10%.
Correct.
So it's just huge.
So, and we still use the jar system, but it's not, but it's in savings accounts now. So
right.
when we get it
to the accounts.
Yep. We give to the accounts now. So, when we close a deal, the check goes in and then it gets divided out into, taxes and a play fund and a savings fund and, ultimately
necessities. Yeah. Yep.
So it's definitely a beautiful system. And if you're not, if you haven't looked into it or have questions around using some kind of system like that, again, Dave Ramsey has a great system with that, and so does T-Harv. So, and ask us. We'll let you know, our experience with it as well.
Shoot us an email, and we're happy to go more into what the system looks like and the percentages and all that kind of stuff. But everybody's different, so. Your household was going to be run differently because you got different needs. And yet we're happy to go into a little bit more. So, yep.
Awesome. So, what this has really done is not only matured us up into, breaking that glass ceiling or breaking the code, as you put it, which I really like. But, it's created, breaking the code has turned us into more of the internal student to finances. Listening to Jen.
Jen Sincero's
book was
and reading
it was fantastic. And then you've been reading the money book. Oh my gosh, from
Tony
Robbins.
Yeah.
And then the Instagram guy that you've been listening to, that you turned me on to as well, that does the finances.
Oh gosh, what's his name? He's in. Oh my gosh, he is in Nashville. Jeff Rose.
Yep, Jeff Rose. That's the dude.
Yeah, so he's on. He's definitely on Instagram, but he's also got some really fantastic videos too.
And you know what? You're right. It's actually YouTube that is that he's more prevalent on. I mean, he's got an Instagram account, but he's got some great lessons Jeff Rose does on YouTube. So check that out too. And any of the books that we've been talking about, we're going to link in the show notes as well.
Yep, absolutely. So the budget came out of it following the irregular budget. To where, obviously we're commission based, so the income is irregular. And it took a minute to get that up and running, yet, I mean, now it's really...
And the irregular budget has, that was one of the things that catapulted us to, creating more business so that the, irregular, because, when I don't know how... Well, you all get it because you're in the business. But if 1 month you have 3 closings, and the next month you only have 1. I mean, really, the goal is that you have 2 to 3 or 4, or however many deals you want to do every single month. So, what does it take to create that kind of stability? And it's absolutely possible. It's just it's just being consistent with your prospecting and what you do. So,
and consistent with looking at your budget.
Yes.
I mean, again, looking money in the eyes, what you focus on expands, all of those things. I mean, there's management of the money for sure. So
all kinds of great art forms for sure. And, if you haven't done anything else, start with a budget. Yes. And don't just do it by yourself. Don't do the budget by yourself. Have somebody that can hold you accountable to it.
Oh my gosh, you mean share your budget with somebody else?
Oh my gosh, share your money with somebody else, or your information about your money and your relationship to it. Crazy.
Yes, that is definitely the and shine a bright spotlight on that one.
Yeah, and if you can do that, holy crap. Things are going to change and things are going to shift because you can't hide out anymore. You know?
Right, which is the purpose of accountability. Again, it's just being mature with your finances. Being mature with it. Yes, accountability, transparency.
Yep.
I love that.
Cool. All right. So I am feeling complete, Nance, with this segment. Is there anything you'd like to add before we close this one out?
No. I appreciate you going through this with me. I mean, I know that every time that we talk about it, the fully accepting our responsibility and the co-creation of the bankruptcy and moving through all of those different emotions really assisted us in upgrading and evolving our code and adding new code and dispelling all of those shame feelings and the judgment around the mismanagement of things. I mean, it's really beautiful. So thank you for being in this healing space with me.
Yes. And I'm going to go do some jumping jacks now just to shake off a little bit of this because it was a crazy time. And it's different now. And I get it. I'm still going to do some jumping jacks.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
all right. Well, I love you, baby.
I love you too.
And it's a great life.
It is a great life. Bye for now. Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. If you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow our show. I'm Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And remember, it's a great life.
Woo!